Imagine this: you're at a party, surrounded by friends, but something is missing. You realize that, even though you're physically there, people don't really seem to notice you. The noise of the conversations around you only reinforces the emptiness you feel inside. Have you ever been in a place like this, where you feel invisible, as if everyone is more concerned with their own lives than yours? The pain of being forgotten, of not being valued, is a feeling that many of us have experienced, and it's hard not to want it to change. But what if I told you that the key to not just being remembered, but desired and felt, lies in something you have total control over? Something much more powerful than any effort to please others. No, I'm not talking about changing your personality or becoming someone you're not, but adopting a mindset that will transform the way people see and miss you. I'm going to tell you the story of Marcos, a friend who went through an experience that could have been yours. Marcos was always the kind of person who gave too much of himself to others, always doing favors, sacrificing to please, but deep down feeling exhausted and even more so, invisible. One day, he began to realize that, despite doing his best, people didn't even remember him when he wasn't around. The pain of feeling unnoticed consumed him, until he discovered the power of Stoicism and the profound impact that four principles could have on his life. The change wasn't immediate, but over time Mark became someone who, when he was away, was impossible to forget. Now, you may be asking yourself, how can I achieve this? I understand that pain, because it's real. And the answer doesn't lie in more effort or in trying to please others. It lies in something much deeper and more meaningful. By applying these four Stoic principles, you will learn to achieve something that few others can. The ability to be so incredible that, even when you're not around, your absence becomes impossible to ignore. It's not about being the center of attention all the time, but about developing an inner strength so solid that when people miss you, they will naturally seek you out. Are you ready to understand how? Let's discover these practices that will make you unforgettable, not because of what you do, but because of how you become, inside and out. Before we start, check if you're already subscribed to the channel. If not, subscribe now, because in the next few videos you'll learn how to apply Stoic principles to transform your relationships and your life. Let's get to the content of the video. Releasing the desire for control. The key to serenity and autonomy. Imagine living a life in which every moment depends exclusively on how things turn out around you. Sounds exhausting, doesn't it? That's the burden we carry when we try to control what's beyond our reach. Stoicism, a timeless philosophy advocated by thinkers such as Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, offers us a powerful antidote to this trap: releasing the desire for control. It's not about giving up or settling, but learning to distinguish between what is within our reach and what is not. Epictetus, one of the greatest masters of Stoicism, summed it up with brutal simplicity. Some things are within our control, others are not. The things we can influence are our choices, opinions, and actions. What is beyond our power includes external events, other people's attitudes, and even the outcome of our efforts. When we understand this division, a huge weight is lifted off our backs. We no longer have to fight the current, but learn to navigate it. Now, visualize the following scene. You're in a storm on the high seas. It's impossible to control the wind or the movement of the waves, but you have total control over the rudder of the boat. It is this metaphor that guides the principle of letting go of the desire for control. We often spend energy trying to influence what is outside of us, be it other people's decisions or uncontrollable circumstances. The more we fight, the more we suffer. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor who ruled Rome in times of chaos. He faced wars, plagues, and betrayals, but found balance in his philosophy. In his writings in the book Meditations, he reflected, "You have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He understood that true freedom lies in choosing how we react to what happens, rather than trying to change the uncontrollable. Releasing the desire for control doesn't mean passivity. On the contrary, it's about acting with purpose where we can really make a difference. When we accept that not everything depends on us, we can focus on what is within our reach, our attitudes, behaviors, and decisions. This not only reduces frustration, but also increases efficiency, as our energy is directed more intelligently. Imagine a relationship. Perhaps you've already tried to change someone, to shape their behavior, adjust their attitudes, or even control their choices. However, the result is almost always the opposite of what you wanted. Stoicism teaches that instead of wearing ourselves out trying to change the other person, we can change the way we relate. This transforms the dynamic. Accepting people as they are and deciding how to react creates a more honest connection and, paradoxically, inspires genuine change in the other person, but not because you demanded it, but because you gave it space to happen naturally. Another example is the pursuit of results. Whether at work or in a personal project, there is a common desire to control every aspect to ensure success. However, Stoicism invites us to focus on the process, not the outcome. Seneca wrote, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. You do your part, you study, you dedicate yourself, you work hard, but the end result is in the hands of the universe." When we internalize this idea, we take a huge weight off our backs. The fear of failure disappears because we understand that the merit lies in trying, not just in winning. Furthermore, accepting the natural flow of life teaches us patience and resilience. When something goes wrong, instead of resisting or regretting it, we can look for the lesson in adversity. This is not resignation, but an invitation to adapt. Imagine losing an opportunity that you considered crucial. Instead of despairing, you can ask, "What can I learn here? How can this prepare me for something greater?" This perspective completely changes the way we face challenges. In today's world, where social media encourages us to compare our lives with those of others, the desire to control increases even more. We want to influence how we are seen, how we are evaluated, and even how we are remembered. However, when we abandon this obsession, we rediscover the freedom to be authentic. By aligning our actions with our values, rather than trying to meet other people's expectations, we start to live in a lighter and more meaningful way. Releasing the desire for control is ultimately an act of courage. It requires admitting that we are not omnipotent and that we are okay with that. It means trusting in the process of life, accepting whatever comes our way, while holding firm to what really matters, our values and our choices. This is the essence of Stoicism, a philosophy that not only teaches us to survive, but to thrive amid the uncertainties of existence. Prioritizing self-growth over external validation. The path to true autonomy. Imagine a man who devotes all his efforts to pleasing others, seeking approval for every decision he makes. He shapes his life to meet external expectations, but never finds inner peace. This incessant search for validation, common in many, is a trap that Stoicism teaches us to avoid. Prioritizing self-development over the need to please others is not only liberating, but essential to building a life of purpose and meaning. The Stoics believed that true happiness lies in the cultivation of character and virtues. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the largest empire of his time, reflected deeply on this idea. He wrote, "Don't waste any more time discussing what a good man should be like, be one." This message is clear. Instead of seeking external approval to confirm your worth, focus on becoming someone of integrity, wisdom, and courage. Dependence on external validation creates a life based on instability. When our actions are motivated by the desire to please or impress, we become vulnerable to other people's opinions, which are often contradictory or impossible to satisfy. It's like building a house on quicksand. On the other hand, when we focus on personal growth and inner values, the foundation of our existence becomes solid and unshakable. To understand the practical impact of this change in perspective, think of someone preparing for a job interview. Some people put all their energy into predicting what the interviewer wants to hear, rehearsing answers that sound perfect. Others, however, work to align their skills and experience with what they really believe in. The second group, which prioritizes authenticity and self-knowledge, often conveys more confidence and ends up achieving better results, not because they tried to please, but because they were focused on their essence. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, reminds us that the man who seeks everyone's approval loses himself. He suggests that by dedicating ourselves to self-knowledge and internal improvement, we naturally attract those who share our values. People who recognize their authenticity connect in a more genuine way, creating relationships that don't depend on performances or masks. In practice, prioritizing self-growth requires a continuous exercise and reflection. Ask yourself, what are my core values? Am I living according to them or allowing the judgment of others to guide my decisions? These questions help redirect your focus from the external to the internal, freeing you from the bonds of other people's opinions. It's important to remember that prioritizing personal growth doesn't mean ignoring others or being selfish. On the contrary, By investing in yourself, you become a more complete version of yourself, capable of making a more significant contribution to the world around you. Building character through wisdom, courage, and justice creates an impact that transcends the need to please. Marcus Aurelius also addressed this idea in his Meditations, saying, "Be like the rock against which the waves continually break, but which remains immovable." This advice encourages us to seek internal stability, regardless of external turbulence. When you become that rock, other people start to admire your strength and authenticity, not because you have sought their validation, but because you have become someone worthy of respect. However, living this way takes courage. The pressure to follow trends, meet expectations, and conform is immense. But by challenging these pressures, you create a life that reflects who you really are. This authenticity is rare, and that's exactly why it's so attractive. A modern example of this can be seen in leaders who stand out not by trying to please everyone, but by standing firm in their convictions. Think of figures who faced criticism or resistance for standing up for what they believed was right. They earned respect not because they gave in to external pressure, but because they prioritized integrity over acceptance. Throughout history, many people who have followed Stoic teachings have discovered that genuine respect and admiration come as a byproduct of an unwavering commitment to your values. When you stop chasing the validation of others, you realize that you already have everything you need within yourself to be complete. By prioritizing internal growth, you also begin to see success differently. Success is no longer measured by the amount of applause you receive, but by the alignment between your actions and your principles. This change in perspective transforms the way you live, working not to impress, but to express the best of yourself. Concluding that external validation is unnecessary is liberating. Stoicism teaches us that true satisfaction comes from within and that personal development is the only path to a fulfilling life. By following this principle, you not only gain inner peace, but also become a powerful example of authenticity and strength for everyone around you. Cultivating independence and emotional resilience, strength from within life is unpredictable. Situations beyond our control arise without warning, testing our emotional stability and our ability to react. The Stoics, aware of this reality, taught that we have no power over external events, but we can master our responses to them. This teaching, at once simple and profound, invites us to cultivate emotional independence and resilience, pillars that allow us to face the ups and downs of existence with balance and strength. Emotional independence begins with understanding that we are responsible for our reactions, not for the circumstances. Imagine a sudden storm. It doesn't ask permission to happen, nor does it care about the impact it causes. Still, some despair, while others calmly seek shelter. The difference is not in the storm, but in how each person chooses to react. Seneca, one of the most prominent Stoics, said that it is not events that disturb us, but our opinion of them. By internalizing this idea, we learn to filter our emotions, preventing external factors from determining our state of mind. This practice requires constant vigilance, but the rewards are immeasurable. Calm in the face of chaos and freedom in a world full of uncertainty. Cultivating emotional resilience also means accepting the transience of life. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the passing nature of all things. He wrote, "Everything that happens, happens as it should, and if you observe carefully, you will see that it is so." Accepting impermanence does not mean resignation, but rather embracing reality with courage and determination. In practice, this translates into a balanced approach to challenges. When something goes wrong, it's common to be overwhelmed by thoughts such as "this shouldn't be happening" or "I can't deal with it." Stoicism teaches us to reframe these ideas by asking, "What can I learn from this experience?" Or "How can I act wisely in this moment?" This change of perspective transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. Another crucial aspect of emotional independence is recognizing that our emotions should not be suppressed, but understood. We often see vulnerability as weakness, but the Stoics remind us that it is in the honest acceptance of our feelings that true strength lies. By recognizing an emotion, such as anger or sadness, we can analyze it without being overwhelmed by it. A contemporary example of this can be found in high-performance athletes. They face immense pressure, but the most successful ones don't let the fear of failure or the desire to win consume them. Instead, they remain focused on the process, accepting the results as part of continuous learning. This emotional balance, the fruit of constant practice, reflects the essence of Stoic teachings. Emotional independence also strengthens relationships. When we don't rely excessively on others for validation or security, we create healthier and more respectful connections. It's a form of true love, where two people share their paths without losing themselves in each other. Epictetus, another great name of Stoicism, advised, remember that you are indispensable to no one. Concentrate on being good company, not a necessity. Emotional resilience, meanwhile, helps us navigate life's constant changes. Losses, disappointments, and challenges are inevitable, but the way we face them defines who we become. Cultivating this inner strength is not an isolated act, but a habit built up over time. An effective way to develop resilience is to practice gratitude. Although it may seem contradictory, focusing on the positive even in the midst of difficulties gives us the energy we need to keep going. This practice is not about ignoring pain, but about finding balance by recognizing what we still have. Furthermore, it is essential to remember that cultivating independence and emotional resilience is not a solitary journey. Although inner strength is individual, the Stoics also emphasize the value of community. Surrounding ourselves with people who share similar values and seek personal growth strengthens our ability to face adversity. By integrating these lessons into everyday life, we begin to feel more prepared to deal with the inevitable ups and downs of existence. We become less reactive, more thoughtful, and deeply connected to what really matters. This slow but powerful transformation is at the heart of Stoicism applied to modern life. In the end, emotional independence and resilience do not alienate us from the world. On the contrary, they make us better able to live fully. We learn to accept what we cannot change, to respond wisely to what we can influence, and to find peace in what is beyond our reach. Creating a meaningful life, a path aligned with core values, what makes life worth living? This question echoes through the ages, instigating deep reflections on purpose and meaning. In Stoicism, the answer lies in the coherence between actions and fundamental principles, in dedication to what really matters and in the pursuit of an existence rich in purpose. This alignment not only gives us direction, but also strengthens us to face the inevitable challenges of the journey. Seneca, one of the great Stoic masters, argued that living a meaningful life required clarity of values and commitment to them. For him, happiness lies in living according to one's nature. This idea invites us to examine our deepest motivations, asking whether our choices reflect what we truly value or whether we are just reacting to external expectations. Creating a meaningful life begins with identifying our fundamental principles. These values can include honesty, compassion, justice, or courage, but the important thing is that they are genuine and personal. For Marcus Aurelius, integrity was non-negotiable. He often wrote about the need to act in accordance with the greater good, even when this was difficult or unpopular. This coherence is the basis of a fulfilling existence. When our actions are aligned with our values, we feel a sense of peace, even in the midst of difficulties. A modern example of this can be seen in people who dedicate their lives to meaningful causes, such as environmental protection or human rights. Although they face immense challenges, they find purpose in their choices, which gives them the energy to keep going. But living according to our values doesn't mean ignoring pleasures or avoiding moments of joy. Stoicism does not preach a life of austerity, but of balance. For Seneca, the secret was to enjoy the good things in life without becoming dependent on them. He wrote, "True wealth lies not in having much, but in desiring little." This advice encourages us to seek pleasure consciously and in line with what really matters. Another fundamental aspect of creating a meaningful life is contributing to something greater than ourselves. Epictetus taught that the purpose of life is not only to satisfy individual desires, but also to serve humanity. This can manifest itself in small daily actions, such as helping a neighbor, or in grandiose undertakings, such as leading social change. The important thing is to recognize that our actions impact the world around us. This search for meaning is not without its difficulties. Sometimes we face difficult choices that test our commitment to our values. At times like these, the Stoics advised the practice of negative visualization, a technique that involves imagining the worst possible scenarios to prepare the mind and strengthen resilience. This practice, paradoxically, helps us to value what we have and act with courage in the face of adversity. In addition, creating a meaningful life requires patience and flexibility. The journey is not linear, and we often need to adjust our goals and priorities. Marcus Aurelius reflected on this when he wrote, "Accept what fate brings and adapt to the flow of nature." This acceptance is not resignation, but a way of finding harmony in the midst of life's inevitable changes. It is also essential to remember that meaning is not something we find, but something we create. It lies in the choices we make every day, the relationships we build, and the experiences we seek. It is an active process that requires constant reflection and intention. Finally, Stoicism teaches us that creating a meaningful life is an act of courage. It requires us to face our fears, let go of illusions, and embrace the truth of who we are. It's a call to live authentically, even when that means going against the grain. As we walk this path, we discover that the meaning lies not in achieving a final goal, but in living in a way that is consistent with our values at every moment. This is the true essence of a life well lived, an existence that reflects purpose, balance, and connection. So, have you heard about how to make people miss you using Stoic principles? Did you know that this is entirely possible? Let me know in the comments if you've experienced this or if you know someone who has. I'll help you in the comments, and here we are, at the end of this journey. Now, with these 4 Stoic principles in mind, you have the tools you need to create a lasting impact on the lives of the people around you. It's not about being the favorite or the most charismatic of all. It's not about forcing your presence, but about cultivating something much deeper and more genuine. You don't need to chase the validation of others, because when you apply these principles, your absence will be felt so intensely that it will be impossible not to want your presence back. The real magic lies in understanding that true strength doesn't come from control, but from the ability to accept the natural flow of life. By prioritizing your self-development, your internal reactions, and your emotional independence, you create a space where, when you are absent, your value only grows. People won't just miss you. They'll crave your presence because you've become someone unshakable, someone with purpose, and something of real value. Life is made up of genuine connections, and when you dedicate yourself to being your best, authentically and stoically, the attraction you exert on others will be natural. They will begin to recognize and value not only what you do for them, but what you represent. A man who knows his worth, who has the confidence of his own journey, and who, when he leaves a mark that no one can ignore. Now it's up to you. Put these principles into practice and watch your life change. And remember, it's not about manipulation, it's not about control. It's about being the best version of yourself. And that, my friends, makes missing you a constant presence in the hearts of those who really matter. Thank you for watching so far. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue receiving the next content. Until the next video.